We have Harry McCracken from Time with us. Harry, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Tell us what you do at Time.
Well, I'm editor-at-large, and my job is to write about consumer technology. So that's everything from brand new web startups to the Apples and Facebooks and Samsungs of the world.
Great. So have you been to South by before?
This is, I think, my 6th South by Southwest.
Oh my God, you are a veteran.
I am finally a veteran, not a newbie.
So as you've gone round South by, have you observed anything interesting this year?
You know, the thing that's fun is just getting the lay of the land, and once in a while there's a South by Southwest where one company dominates. Usually it's not like that. Usually there are dozens or maybe even hundreds of companies worth paying attention to. I also find there's a little bit less flash and elaborate marketing hoopla this year, which is actually good. It's coming back a little bit to being about the companies and the products and services.
And the innovation and the entrepreneurs that you've seen so far, are they kind of, there was a word that came up earlier today. I think of this as the intentional South by Southwest. It seems to me people are here with an intent on something as opposed to just turning up to be here for the sake of being here.
Well, I've been an MC for the Accelerator, and so I've helped 8 companies so far, and another 8 this afternoon, which are extremely young companies with apps that, you know, in some cases have only been live for a couple of weeks. And those companies come out with an intent. They're looking to get attention from the press, potentially funding from investors, and a lot of them are great ideas, but they're great ideas that have signed up maybe a few thousand users, and all of them want to have millions of users eventually.
The things you write about in the consumer space, what grabs the public's attention? Is it just something new, or is it something that's really, truly getting traction and is usable by the end client?
I mean, when all is said and done, it's ultimately about solving a problem. In some cases, it's solving a problem you know you have, like text messaging being expensive. Probably the coolest things of all are the services or products that solve problems you didn't know you had. Like before Twitter, you know, became a phenomenon here, I don't think anybody demanded that there be something like Twitter. It was very interesting to people, but in a way that was not immediately clear.
So consumers don't always know what they want.
Not at all. I mean, Steve Jobs is famous for doing no market research, not attempting to build things that the market seemed to need. But he had as good a track record of anybody at building things that once people saw them, they couldn't live without them.
As we look forward and things that you see, and you see them not just here at South by, but all over the, I was just about to say country, but probably globe, are you seeing any trends coming up for the next year? Any particular areas? One of the things I have noticed as an example is we're getting more and more wearables.
Just in general, hardware is exciting. For a long time, it was almost impossible to be a hardware startup because venture capitalists would not invest in hardware. And today there are things like Kickstarter, so in fact it's quite possible to raise enough money to get going without going to a venture capitalist. And it's possible to go to China, even if you're a 2-person startup, with a design and have it made and distributed. And so after this long kind of drought where almost everything that was exciting was either the web or apps, you are seeing wearables and you know, connected home type stuff. Nest with its thermostat is a product which sort of has launched dozens and dozens of startups trying to be the Nest of different things in your home.
Right. Well, and also I'm also observing the issues with big data, with the cloud, with the analytics that's possible. The more data we get, whether it's a wearable, a Nest, or whatever, we're going to have more analytics of how we do things and what we can do better.
Almost everything has like a number crunching aspect to it. Like I use the Jawbone app, and it's tracking the number of steps I take, and when I go to bed tonight, it will measure my sleep. And the hardware is neat, but it's really the app that does most of the heavy lifting. It transfers the data, and it looks at whether the number of steps I'm taking is increasing or shrinking, and how I compare to other app users, and if my exercise during the day leads to better sleep or leads me to stay up. And that's all number crunching in the cloud. It's not done on the device. Right.
So we're opening whole new marketplaces up that the consumer didn't know about, that wouldn't have been possible without these innovations. Tell Tell me where you think some of this might be going.
Well, I think that beyond wearables, I mean, the overarching trend is not one new category. It's all categories talking to each other, because I might wear a wearable device. The data will end up automatically on my phone. It'll end up on my tablet. In some cases, it might be useful in the car. It'll be useful on the PC. And a lot of companies are doing interesting things with building experiences that just show up everywhere, which is a huge challenge, because a lot of companies can't even build like one iPhone app, right, let alone something for iPhone and Android and web and a couple of wearables and a few platforms. But I think the stuff that will matter a lot long term is the stuff that is just sort of in the air you breathe.
Right. So challenges for entrepreneurs, are the challenges getting more in depth given there's not single platforms, they've got to be viable on many platforms, and other challenges? Do you think it's getting more challenging for entrepreneurs, or do you think they're just taking it in their stride and it's just the rules of the road today?
I mean, a lot of stuff gets easier over the time, thank heavens. It's never been easier to start something, but scaling up for platforms is a factor. I think privacy will be more and more of an issue. You are finally seeing consumers thinking about the fact that they are entrusting data to these companies. And when you see something like the Target security breach and millions of people losing their data, it's kind of a wake-up call. And obviously everybody knows that a company like Facebook or Google has to worry about this. I think it's also true for smaller companies. And you might use 20 or 30 apps, but you might not want all of them to have access to all of your data.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see how we've got some new challenges and new opportunities coming up. Mm-hmm. If you would leave us with a word about what you're going to do for time when you get back home and think about all of this. Is there some, we're not meaning to preempt anything you're going to do, but is there some thought process in terms of the publication?
Sure. Well, I mean, my job is to look at vast numbers of things here and to grind them down to the stuff I'm capable of writing about in a fixed amount of space. So over the next couple of days, and for the first couple of days after I get back to the Bay Area, I will do some posts based on what I saw here. And even if I don't say so explicitly, the companies I write about will be the ones I found to be the most compelling for consumers.
Mm-hmm. And you are you are an accelerator judge, so you're not just doing that for when you get back. You are judging them here and now and live, the latest and greatest that have come in from all over the world.
That's right, and the track record of the accelerator is pretty impressive. A bunch of companies like Hipmunk and Siftio and Storify and Siri, before it was an iPhone app, it was a startup, which was at the accelerator here. So this stuff matters. I think companies really do get their foot in the door by being here and succeeding.
I think you said it all. This all matters. Harry, thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.